Hey everybody, it's Gil here from the Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, and this week we actually went out to Titusville, Florida. So for us, Titusville is about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive east across the state of Florida. We were going to go yesterday, but they had high winds and they ended up postponing it. So we got up at 5:30 in the morning, checked the launch schedule, they'd postponed it, we all went back to bed. We got up this morning, we were out of the house by about 6:15, and we were getting there at around 10:20. The launch happened around 10:30 or so. We literally got there 5 minutes before the launch. We found a place to pull over on the side of the road. We found a place to pull over on the side of the road, and from there, we quickly got out of the car, got the camera situated as best we could, and by the time I got the camera turned on, not even focused in on it, not even on the tripod, it was already taken off. But I don't have good footage of it, but man, what a cool experience. Seeing the streak go up into the sky, and one of the cool things about this mission is SpaceX was purposely going to let the actual rocket booster that sends the Dragon pod up, they were going to let that thing fall and disintegrate and be destroyed, essentially blow up. It has already made 3 other missions where it has taken off, pushed the Dragon pod up into orbit, and then safely landed back at Cape Canaveral. This time, they were simulating a failure. And the cool thing is, the failure they were simulating was if something were to go wrong on that high-powered boost, could the Dragon pod boost away from the Falcon 9 rocket booster and safely return back to Earth? And it did. It fell down into the Atlantic Ocean with parachutes on it, and the Falcon 9 rocket booster, which was pretty cool, essentially just fell back to Earth, so we could see it falling back down, the trail of smoke, and then ultimately it disintegrated into the atmosphere, so blew up. Really a cool experience. I can assure you we will be back to see another one of these another time with a little bit more time, better camera setup and tripods, the whole bit. But man, what a cool experience. We'll do the best we can taking our stills and see if I can show you a couple that we have, but it was so hard to get it since we didn't have time to get the tripod set up. Think about it, you're on your largest zoom, you're trying to hold your camera by hand and look at it. And we just pulled over on the side of the road, and there were thousands of people there, and it was kind of cool because you could hear the collective cheer as the thing went up. As soon as it went into the clouds, you could hear a collective ah, and then as it went above the clouds, people started cheering again because you could see it. And then when the actual Dragon pod separated from the Falcon 9 booster, it was really cool. You could hear everybody start to cheer, and you could feel this rumble in your chest while this thing was boosting away from it. And then you could see the thing coming down, but it was cool. There was collective gasps in the entire audience, if you will, on the side of the road. It was enough time to get the girls set up, but not enough time for me to get my camera ready to go. But check out this footage. Nonetheless, it was really pretty cool, and yeah, just a pretty exciting time to see rockets launch out of here. It's neat being on the Space Coast here.
Explosion sound?
Not yet.
Then what's that sound? The explosion sound.
That's not the explosion. That's the rockets taking off of the Draco. The small piece is coming off of it, and the other one's coming down. You see how the curve of smoke is coming down? I think it's probably falling. So keep an eye on that when it's falling down. You see it coming downward? That's the old part that's going to break apart when it falls back in the atmosphere. Let me show you a better view with good footage, and this is courtesy of SpaceX, where you can actually see the launch take off. So as the rocket took off, the whole purpose of this test was to validate whether or not the Dragon capsule could launch and exit away from the Falcon missile if there was ever a problem. So what's kind of cool is you can see some of the stats on their feed, right? Already over 400 miles an hour, and we're only 29 seconds after takeoff, running over 2 Gs, and now we're crossing the 600 mile an hour mark. It was kind of interesting at this stage. It was starting to get up into the clouds a little bit, but keep in mind the goal here is at the point of highest stress, they wanted to see if the Dragon capsule could launch from the actual rocket. So if you watch, you'll notice this small white capsule moving away from it. That's exactly what they wanted to see. And as soon as they did, the actual Falcon rocket explodes. And this is what we heard and saw falling down toward the Earth. It was really cool. Now, don't fret, that was planned. That was part of this overall test. And that Falcon rocket had flown 3 other missions before, and was this last one, obviously, to be destroyed as part of the test. So I'm a total geek when it comes to this kind of stuff, but to quote Chastity, she said, "We drove almost 4 hours each way just to see something that lasted under 2 minutes." And yep, we sure did, and we'll be back to do it again, but we'll get there sooner so we can get the cameras rolling better beforehand. So after leaving the launch, we decided to go get lunch at this little place called Dixie Roadhouse. It was good seafood right there in Titusville, Florida, along the Indian River, which is the intercoastal waterway inside of the barrier islands of Merritt Island and Cocoa Beach. really good food, kind of a cool place. But after that, we have a little surprise. We're taking the girls to Reptile World. They both love snakes. They watch snake adventure videos on YouTube. They love documentaries about them. They both have little toy snakes. They've asked for snakes. I hate snakes. There's no way in hell we're having a snake in the house, but they really love the idea of it. So they don't know it yet, but we're taking them there today. And at 3 o'clock, they're doing a feedings of all the venomous snakes. So we're gonna get to watch all of that. But in the meantime, we figured we'd kill a little time. There's a playground here. The girls love going to a little playground and they get along when they do that. So yeah, we're letting them do that and burn off a little energy and kill a little bit of time. We'll try to get to the reptile place around 2:30, start to see a little bit of it before the 3 o'clock feeding. So they are gonna be really, really excited with this. So you're saying this is something you should never do? Can you hang upside down in there? That's not upside down, silly.
See?
Yep.
You could also hurt yourself.
Okay.
Like I just did.
Smile, Chaz. All right, we got one going down the slide. We got the other daredevil climbing on the outside. All right, go ahead, McKinley. Is it fast?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Please don't break a leg. We have a schedule today. We don't want to go to the hospital. Can't tell you. Somebody's still playing with her new camera. I'm gonna stop here because we've had planes taking off every 2 seconds here. I thought it was just like an individual plane flying around, you know, like a private plane. There must be a little airport over here because in the 30 minutes we've been here, like, I don't know, 10 of them have taken off already. I'll see if I can get footage of one coming up. They're pretty cool. Most are a little single engine, a couple of twin engines, but they take off. We're out on Merritt Island. They take off on Merritt Island, they go right out over the intercoastal waterway and then bank on. When you try to get the planes on video, it's really hard. They fly pretty quick. I'm not that smooth with a motion of the video camera on the tripod while zooming, but it's fun to mess around. Kids are killing some time playing on the playground. It's been a nice, fun family day, and I can't wait to go over to the reptile place. They're gonna have a blast with that too. After playing at the playground for quite some time, we went ahead and hit the road and got ourselves over to Reptile World. The girls will be thrilled. As we got inside, the first place you go to is this big giant turtle pond, and they had a ton of different types of turtles in here, but there were a lot of them too. It was kind of wild to watch them. They were getting ready to do a feeding, and then I noticed they had this giant snapping turtle in there. It's hard to see him because he's underwater, but his head, watch as the turtle swims by, his head is as big around as that 8 or 10 inch turtle. Came back by this tank later, they were actually feeding this giant snapping turtle mice. It was pretty wild. And then McKinley saw these two. No, they're not mating.
So cool.
I believe I can fly.
He's like, I can believe I can fly.
I'll get you up yet.
Oh my god!
There's a big old red-footed tortoise coming at us here.
He's following me.
He's coming to get a drink.
Oh, he's getting in it.
This thing completely intrigued me. I don't know why I cracked up. I filmed this dude for like 10 minutes, but I've never seen an animal that stick his whole snout, face, eyes, and everything under the water. He did that for a while and then just turned and wandered on off. It was kind of funny. I don't know why it cracked me up so much.
trying to get up a little closer to get inside your shirt.
Chaz, you're that comfortable with that?
I've seen too much snake stuff.
We saw several snakes in an outdoor habitat, much like what they would be like in nature. We also had one of the snake handlers explain the process they go through at this particular facility, which is to milk the venom from the snakes, and then they have a process where they actually create anti-venom from it. He went on to explain how some of that works. After the extraction of the venom itself, then we pick up here.
That sheep blood is then extracted very gently. Sheep are not hurt in the process, and that blood, with the antibodies that sheep has produced to fight that venom that has been injected, it gets shipped off to Manchester, where it's purified, and eventually comes back into the United States as what we know today as anti-venom. Now, this is an incredibly expensive procedure, and it doesn't really have to be. There's a lot of different things that we can do as a country to change this and, make it a little bit more suitable, where people don't have to walk away paying $1, $2, $3 million after they've been bitten by a cottonmouth. It's ridiculous, and I mean, if you don't die from the snake bite, you might die from bankruptcy soon after. It's a very serious issue, and it does need to be brought up.
Gonna go to a crocodile feeding. Pretty cool. I think they said they got like rabbits in, so this isn't just little bits of stuff.
Here.
Back into the snake enclosure inside, and the girls were a little bit nervous about this snake that seemed like there was something going on where it was on its back, so they went and told the staff, and he came out and gave it a little flip over onto its other side. He said it's kind of normal. Sometimes he'll get coiled up like that, and then there's nothing there like a branch or something for him to climb up on and unwind himself into the right direction. It's kind of strange.
Yay!
Yeah.
We saw a lot of snakes that were kind of cool looking given they were behind the glass, and then they were feeding this guy a rabbit. You saw the handler just pop this rabbit in there, and I don't know that it was alive. I think it was thawed out. But what was interesting is he wrapped himself around this thing and held it for a while. We walked away and came back, and after a while he started to line up his mouth to the rabbit and slowly worked it into his mouth. We didn't stick around for the whole thing. He said it would take about 30 minutes for him to get that thing inside of his mouth. And then before we left, the girls got to spend a little bit more time holding some snakes in the lobby, which was pretty cool for them.
I'm really impressed that you're not afraid of that, Chaz.
It feels like I want to pet him.
I guess I'm impressed because I'm scared to death of it.
Oh, he's trying to touch.
We're going to try to touch his face.
Hey, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Touch it.
I'll touch it.
Because you can feel.
Oh, you should hold it. Come on.
Come on.
Chicken.
Hold it.
It doesn't eat.
She's holding it. You're going to let a 13-year-old show you that?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
So just touch that too.
Do you want to see it? I know. But make sure you wash your hands, okay? But I have hand sanitizer.
We'll go in the bathroom and wash your hands when we're done. One hand at a time. Tell her how to do it. So after a wonderful day of watching the SpaceX rocket take off, playing at the playground, taking the girls to a snake and venom facility, which was really pretty cool. They both love snakes, so it was cool and exciting for them. I want nothing to do with snakes. As a matter of fact, at the end of it, you might have seen Chassie going, "Here, Grandpa, hold it, hold it." I'm like, nope, I'll touch it, but there's no way I'm holding it. Anyway, we'll see you guys next weekend. Hope you enjoyed this week's video.